with Pastor Tia here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. Love Bay family, we're rising out of the ashes together continually. Our topic on this evening is Don't Let the Punisher Have the Loudest Voice. We have with us our co host for this evening, Tracy Mariner, and Shelly Edwards Jorgensen. She's been here before. She's author of Beautiful Ashes. She's going to be here with us tonight as well. So, Trace, we want to start with you. If you would say hello to Love Bay, greet our listeners and viewers.
Yes. Hello, Love Bay. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Pastor Tia, for this opportunity. I'm honored to be here tonight to co host with you. Um, my name is Tracy Mariner. As Pastor Tia has said, I am originally an Ohioan, live via PA now. Um, I first want to say I am a child of God. First and foremost, happy about that. Then, secondly, I am the wife to Stephen Mariner, mother to three beautiful children, Rebecca, Bethany, and Nathaniel. And then I'm a daughter. I'm a daughter to my mom and dad, who is William and Diane, and then a sister to my two beautiful older sisters. I'm a middle child, Marlo and Cherise, and then my brothers, William the second and Brian Michael. So, and I have a whole host of nieces and nephews. Can't go through all those, but also am what I also am is a pastor. Recently, about 2 years ago, God launched my husband and I into ministry, and I bring you greetings from Angle Rock Ministries. I'm also in my day job. I am a program director for Penn State University and a councilwoman in my evening job, student advisor, a student, and so much more. But most of all, I'm just a servant of the Lord. So I'm really
Awesome.
happy that He's given me the opportunity to serve in these capacities.
Wow, Tracy, you got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Tell us if anyone wants to visit you on a Sunday. Where's your church? How can they
Um,
participate?
yeah, we have our church is actually via online right now. We have
Mhm.
a mobile church right now. We actually do it out of our house, and that is the second and fourth Sundays we broadcast via our Facebook page, and that's Anchor Rock Ministries, and you can tune in at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard
Thank
Time.
you. Can you spell
Yeah.
that?
Yes, it's ANCHORED Rock Ministries.
Awesome,
Yeah.
because I would have got it wrong. First of all, I would have started with an E. So
I
thank
got
you.
you. Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me that space to do so.
Oh no, thank you so much for being here. So Love Bay again, as she comes to introduce herself and tell us about herself again. Our guest on this evening is Shelly Edwards Jorgensen, author of Beautiful Ashes. So Shelly, we want you to take a moment and greet our listeners and viewers on tonight.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. I mean, I'm sure everyone daily. And the other thing is, I'm in Metro Detroit. It was like
Mm.
sunny and in the 50s today, so I know it's a fake spring.
Yes.
Where we're going to get hit again.
Same here in Happy Valley. It was a fake spring. It was so beautifully sunny and it was in the 50s. And I'm like,
Ew.
that's false. That's false.
Yes, yes. But you have hope now that you've made it through winter. It's been a brutal winter here, but I'm just happy to be here again. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and I'm very passionate about trying to help others and through this. It's a difficult journey, and there's far too many of us, and there's far too many suffering in silence, and that's that silence that I was trained to uphold in my life. I'm 55, and so soon to be 56 next month. Well, in April, and I was 15 when the violence that I was born into and grew up through ended in murder. And my dad uh, was a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde alcoholic. And when I was 15, he ended up murdering my mother and burning our house down. And then things got worse. And, you know, God will get you through everything.
Mhm.
And I've learned so much more than I can even fully express. And so my whole mission in life is I'm grateful for both of you guys for being pastors and in spreading light, because we all need that kind of help. And I'm doing that through my book and interviews. And I do come to book clubs because my book tells my story of what I've been through, but it doesn't articulate everything that I've learned. And so it touches on some of it, but I've had so much tragedy and trauma, but I've had so many miracles and blessings. And so I'm just here um, to share and help spread the word of hope and help. So thanks for having me again.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Shelly, tell us again where we can find Beautiful Ashes.
Well, you could always go to my website, which is beautifulashesmemoir.com, or you can find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere online where books are sold. I have a paperback, audiobook, and an ebook all on Amazon. Or there's other places that people that are totally into reading get books. So anywhere you can get a book online, you can find it.
Okay. And do you already have some events lined up for the year where you'll be speaking or participating in some workshops or gatherings?
Well, like I said, like next weekend I'm going to a 3-day book signing event. I have that already lined up. I have another one lined up in the fall. I have a couple book clubs lined up coming up in where people who they belong to their own book club and they choose to read my memoir. I will come. If it's local, I try to come to the event. Like I just went to one a couple weeks ago for ladies that bought my book at a book signing event I had in the fall. And then I have another one coming up that is going to be Zoom because they're too far from me. So
Right.
it's a great way to connect. It's a great way to share because it's more of an intimate gathering.
Mhm.
And so I usually keep booking different things. So as they come along, they come along.
Yeah. So
So
is that information on your website if anyone wants to join online or if they want to show up in person? Is that listed for individuals to see if they want to participate?
well, it's private. So like if, for
Okay.
example, if you had a book club, you could email me and say, "Hey, would you be willing to come be get the
Gotcha.
guest author?" And
Okay.
I got how I even did this or even figured out that that was even a thing was Patricia McLean. I don't know if you know
Yeah.
who
I did
Patricia
her book.
is.
Yeah, I did her
Oh, that's right. We
yeah,
we
I did it too.
connected. And so she's the one that gave me the idea in the first place.
Mm.
So it's been a great it's really been a great thing because everyone has their own journey and it might not be exactly domestic violence, but
Mhm.
you know Heavenly Father needs us all to learn the same things and to develop the characteristics of Christ.
Amen.
The only way for him to teach us or for us to learn is to allow adversity to push us. And 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 so I've gotten to this place where I look at it as a gift because it's an opportunity. Doesn't mean I like it. Doesn't mean it's easy. It's just I know what the purpose is. And so I'm in the gym with my character trying to develop Christ like characteristics instead of weights building muscle. So that's how I see it.
Awesome. I love that example. So
Me
thank you
too.
so much. So we're going to share a few resources and then we're going to go right into our topic for this evening. First, Left Bay, if you want, my book is available, Suffering and Silence, on Amazon. And we use the proceeds from some of the proceeds from my book to help with our nonprofit to assist victims and survivors of domestic violence. We are always raising funds for our nonprofit, Rise Out of the Ashes Inc. If you would like to make a tax deductible donation, you can do so. You can go to GoFundMe and look for our nonprofit again, which is Rise Out of the Ashes Inc. If you would like to write a check, you can make it out to Rise Out of the Ashes Inc. and mail it to P.O. Box 15, Drexel Hill, PA 19026. Again, you can purchase my book if you would like to help in this effort. What we do heavily is assist in transitional resources. A huge part of what we do is emergency funding, rapid funding. We assist individuals with payments for doctors' visits, transportation to get to wherever you need to go, with food, clothing, medication, personal toiletries. We've helped individuals with utilities, rent, and mortgage payments. We have been able to move a couple of ladies from one location, one state to another to be in a safe location, with transportation just to get to another place. But we've also helped put a couple of ladies in new homes. We've paid the the security deposit first month moving in. Those are the things that we want to be able to continue to do, but we need help in order to keep doing it. I would like to also share substance abuse mental health services, their national helpline, and this is in the United States, is 800-662-4357. Befrienders volunteer action to prevent suicide. To find a helpline by your country, you can visit their website, which is befrienders.org. In the United States, we have the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their website is thehotline.org. Their number is 800-799-7233. In Canada, we have the Canadian Women's Foundation. Their website is canadianwomen.org. Their number is 866-293-4483. In the UK, we have the National Domestic Abuse Helpline. Their website is nationaldahelpline.org.uk. Their number is 080820000247. And also in the UK, we have Women's Aid. Their website is womensaid.org.uk. And with that, we move into our topic on tonight. Don't let the Punisher have the loudest voice. And on tonight, we want to encourage victims and survivors of domestic violence to speak up for help, to reach out, to get support groups, to tell your story in whatever way is healing for you. If need be and necessary, to file charges if that's a step that you want to take. Unfortunately, some individuals are talked out of the legal process. Use your voice in whatever way it is that feels safe and feels like the best next step for you. Don't suffer under the voice of the perpetrator. I don't know what that noise is, but I hear something. I don't know if anybody else hears it.
I
Um,
hear it too.
okay, I don't know what that is. TYB, if you can help us with that noise. But again, don't suffer under the weight of the voice of the perpetrator. It is not your fault. You didn't make anyone abuse you. You didn't make anyone hurt you. And people will believe you. Open your mouth and speak. And I always say this, just like I tell a child, you keep telling until somebody listens to you. So people will believe you. I want to start with an anonymous quote that I found, and then Shelly and Tracy, I'll go right to you for your thoughts to start this evening off. And a quote that I found, it says, by prioritizing the voices of survivors and the actions of advocates, we can work towards a society where the loudest voices are those who stand against domestic violence and support those who have been affected by it. And I thought that was a beautiful way to start our conversation. Shelly, I want to start with you with your thoughts.
Yeah, and I think part of it, this speaking up, and my experience was the child coming up in it, and so my voice is a different voice than I'm a victim too, but my victimship was different because my mother, who was the primary victim, was telling me to be quiet. This was a different age too, because my mother was 50 in 1985 when this happened. And so, she was born in 19.
All right, so Shelly froze a bit. So what I want to do, Tracy, is ask you for your thought now while we work on Shelly coming back.
Sure. Um, would you mind just me reading the statement because I was really engrossed in what Shelley was saying and wanted to hear her
Yeah, no,
perspective.
absolutely.
Yeah, could you read that quote one more time for me?
Yes.
Did
By
you hear me?
No, we
She's
didn't
back.
hear you. So okay, Tracy. So we'll let Shelly finish, and then we'll go to you. Yes, Shelly.
So I said that it was a different time when people didn't speak up about this. So
Yes.
the good news is it's changed. It's changing. There's still more change. But I just want to echo what you were saying, Tia, is, connect with people. Social media has given opportunity. There's tons of groups on domestic violence. Seek a community that's going to support you. You will be heard, and if you're not being heard, keep seeking for people who will hear you. And you're absolutely not at fault for being a victim of abuse in any fashion. And there is and here's the trick that the devil uses, is he makes you feel ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
And you are not the one that should feel shame for any kind of abuse, whether it be sexual assault, or for any reason,
Mhm.
or domestic violence for any reason. It There's no shame in being a victim. And so I know that that is like a natural response and a natural reaction. And what that does is he uses that as a weapon, just like sin, to create shame and dim your light. It dims your self-worth. And God needs us to be the light, and his light to shine forth. And so when you're mired in shame, you're dimming your light. And so seek one thing that I've learned through all the many things that I've been through is that God asks us to do things that are only for our benefit. And so prayer, when we express prayer in gratitude, that helps to lift that burden of shame and change your countenance. But what it also can do is invite the Holy Ghost to help guide you make these hard
Yeah.
choices. He will answer if you're seeking him.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that to be 100% true.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Did you want me to read the quote
Yeah.
again?
Yeah, if
Okay.
you wouldn't mind.
So it says, and I'm sorry I couldn't find who wrote this, but I
Mhm.
thought it was awesome to share on tonight. It says, by prioritizing the voices of survivors and the actions of advocates, we can work towards a society where the loudest voices are those who stand against domestic violence and support those who have been affected by it.
And that was I'm glad you read that again because I wanted to articulate this particular scripture that says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I think that what you're saying in a sense is that not being ashamed of something you didn't cause, but this is what is present in my life, but this is how the Lord and the Holy Spirit has allowed me to overcome. But at the same time, this is the experience that I had, right? Whether you believe I did something, because that's something that people say, like, well, what did you do to cause things like that, and when we hear those words and we play those things out, and we're enamored with condemnation, it's like we have to realize that's the trick of the enemy, right? The enemy comes to bring condemnation, but God comes that we may have life and life more abundantly, and he's an accuser of the brother. And so if shame is there, shame is a part of condemnation, and it silences us. And so I think I'm thinking back. I've seen domestic violence in so many levels, and I'm just thinking about when I was a child and my dad's first cousin, who was very abusive to his then wife, and there was nothing being said, and it's like puzzling to us because the Bible teaches us that, puzzling to me now why, not disparaging anyone, that someone didn't step in like my parents as being Christians and speak, and call, the police or get involved in some type of way to kind of help her in this, and I'm just thinking about how helpless she was. Eventually, she was able to get away from him and leave him, and carry on her life, and she's thriving now. But it's like, why are we not, as Christians, thinking about when someone does come to us and let us know what's going on, because it takes a lot for someone to say that, believing them the first time, right? And the scripture teaches us that that how can we love God who we've not seen and hate our brother who we see every day? So if we're not, and we shut up our bowels of compassion, like how are we not being compassionate for someone that's saying, um, and knowing now what we know, how long people suffer, not believing them and not giving voice to their situation, and having the compassion of Christ as Christians to go and be there for someone. And if they don't have the strength to leave to go and take them, or be a voice for them, but I know I said a lot in that, but also just really really advocating for, I think part of my story is that I wasn't believed so many times, and it's like not being believed, and it silences your voice, right? So it's going to the topic of the punisher. Like the punisher wins because when I'm going to raise my voice and let them know this has happened to me, it's saying no, it didn't, and then why did you cause this? That was kind of the era
Yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
my parents grew up in. It was kind of like you sweep things under the rug and don't, talk about what in this house. And a lot of black families, it's like what goes in this house stays in this house, but suffering at the hands of the people that are supposed to care for me. So I say that as a Christian, we should look at it through the eyes of compassion and, being there for our brothers and sisters and believing them the first time, because it's very hard to speak up and say, this is happening.
Oh, Tracy, thank you so much. I don't think that could have been said any more beautifully, and I want to expound on your thought. It does take a lot for a victim to finally speak up and open up and say, this is what's happening to
Mm-hmm.
me, and then take that extra step of trying to get help and get out of the situation. And when someone comes forward, absolutely, and especially when you're dealing with the church,
Yeah.
somebody from the church, if you are capable of, if you are made aware of the
Yes.
situation, you absolutely should step in, and at the very least you absolutely should believe this person that is coming forward, because again, it does take a lot to finally say, I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm going to get the help that I need for myself, for my children. And to not be believed is devastating, absolutely devastating. So
Yeah.
I want to share a bit of an article that I found that I think actually speaks, Tracy, to what you were saying. This article was written by Laura Pules, Pahules. This is from June 24th, 2025, and it's titled Silence Equals Shame. And the website is dvcontroldelete.org.
Mm.
dvcontroldelete.org. And Laura says, in a world of domestic violence, a silence is often mistaken for protection. But for survivors, silence is rarely safe. It's isolating, harmful, and shame inducing. When survivors of domestic abuse are told things like don't tell anyone or it's a family matter, they are being asked to protect their abuser instead of themselves. This forced secrecy can cause deep emotional damage that lasts long after the abuse ends. And Laura goes on to point out, by silencing survivors, families, and communities, and I want to add religious organizations in here,
Mhm.
unintentionally
Mm-hmm.
or intentionally participate in enabling the abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Points out that a powerful tactic that abusers and their enablers often use is accusing the survivor of bad mouthing them when the truth is spoken. And she,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, that just, because I'm dealing with this right. I have a situation where I'm dealing with right now, and it is not gossip when you're talking about abuse. It's not gossip. It's not drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a character association, as Laura says, a character assassination.
Mhm.
It's the truth. Survivors are allowed to share their experience. You are allowed to tell your story. You are allowed to speak on and name exactly what happened to you. You are allowed to say, he physically abused me, he broke my arm, he put me in a hospital, he raped me, or she tried to stab me or did stab me. You are allowed to put words to what it is that happened to you, and you are allowed to speak about the one who did it.
Mhm.
Are allowed
Mm-hmm.
to say, it was my husband, it was my sister, it was my father, it was my pastor, it was the neighbor down the street, it was my teacher. You are allowed to open your mouth and speak.
Mhm.
Someone doesn't want their abusive behavior to be spoken about, and I have said this a million times about my ex. If you didn't want me to talk about it, you shouldn't have did
That's
it.
right.
Right. Right. That's right.
If you don't want your abusive behavior to
Yeah.
be exposed, then you should not have done it.
Mhm.
Silence doesn't protect reputations; it protects abusers, and that
Mhm.
is a message on tonight. It protects abusers. The fear of being labeled negative or vindictive keeps too many survivors suffering in isolation. And the last point from Laura is that you can talk about what happened. You can
Mhm.
name your pain. You're not responsible for preserving the image of someone else.
That's
I was
right.
made to feel personally that I was responsible for making my ex-husband, who's a reverend, I had to keep making him look like a good reverend. I had
Mhm.
to keep making him look like he was a good representative of the church. It was like his salvation, his walk with Christ, like that was put on my shoulders.
Mhm.
I was made
Mm-hmm.
responsible for that. But no, you're not. You're not responsible for somebody else's image, making them look good, and especially for someone who chose to hurt you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and they did it on purpose. You
Yeah.
know, abuse is a choice.
Mhm.
Abuse is something that you decide to do. It's not an accident. It's not, oops, I didn't mean to, but here we are. Uh, no. And so with this and what really that moment that stumped me earlier is because I'm literally dealing with a situation where I've had someone who's a leader of an organization ask me to step in and help with the domestic violence situation in their organization. And when I stepped in, I said, this is what it is. This is what's happening. And the person said to me, well, you're saying that she's a victim, but I heard this. You're saying this, but I just
Mhm.
I don't know if they're just trying to tarnish this person and make them look bad. And so, first of all, I was offended because I'm like, you came to me, you asked me to help you, and this is me. Like, this is me standing in front of
Yeah.
you. You know who I am. You know what I do. You know I don't play games. And you tried to boil the situation down to it's just gossip. And the heart of the matter, I believe, is that domestic violence is real, and too many leaders of organizations don't want to deal with the real part of it. They want a quick solution. Hey, let's talk to them and then it'll go away and be okay. No, one of them very likely could die. So this is real and it needs to be dealt.
Mm-hmm.
But I was absolutely appalled that
Mhm.
the solution of this leader was to try to chalk it up as this is gossip. People are just saying things and they're just bringing
Yeah.
things and trying to tarnish this person because they're just angry right now, because they're just going through something right now. And, you know, and in a couple weeks, they'll be together. In a couple weeks, they'll be together. And I need you to understand that even if that happens, that's a part of the domestic
That's right.
abuse cycle.
Hmm.
because
Yep.
when you see them together again, that's what you call the honeymoon period.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
there's such a level of ignorance that
Mm.
is actually supporting the punisher. And it is
Mm.
silencing the victim or the survivor. But what I have seen in the past few weeks is that it's not just individuals being ignorant, it's individuals wanting to live in that ignorance
Mm.
because you don't want to deal with the reality of domestic violence.
Yep.
And I just think that that is absolutely sickening. So
Mhm.
Yep.
on tonight, we
Mm-hmm.
really, really want to impress upon you, um, if you have suffered in any way, any kind of way, you do not have to stay in a bubble. You
Yeah.
do not have to stay in the shadows. You can pick up the phone and call to get help. If it is safe for you to be on a computer, search the websites for domestic violence agencies. You can search for information. Do what it is that you are safe in the moment doing, but
Hmm.
you can you can speak up, you can confide in a person, you can tell your story. And when we say tell your story, it doesn't mean that you'll be on a platform like this. It
Right.
doesn't mean that you have to stand in front of hundreds or thousands of people. Sometimes just being safe enough to tell your story, maybe you speaking to the doctor that's standing in front of you, and maybe you speaking to a
Mm-hmm.
police officer. It may just you be
Mm-hmm.
speaking to one person that you can trust
Yep.
to get your story out and start your healing process. But
Hmm.
I want to wholeheartedly emphasize, Tracy, everything that you said. Domestic violence is not about gossip and pointing fingers and
Right.
just trying to tarnish somebody's image.
Yeah.
And there are leaders who need
Mm.
to step in. And if we're
Yeah.
specifically talking about the church, yeah, if you have a title in front of your name, you need to
Yep.
deal with it. You need to be able to do more than say, we need your tithes and offerings. You
That's
need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do
that's
more than
right.
you need to be able to help. And I understand you may not be equipped. That's fine. But go get the resources that you need. Just say, I hear you, I understand you, but let me connect you
Yep.
to the space where you can get the help that you need. Because I might not be
Mm-hmm.
qualified, and it's okay. It's okay
Right.
not to know, but it's not okay to push somebody in the back burner without a compassionate heart. It's not
Hmm.
okay to just dump scriptures on somebody. It's not okay to say go ahead and pray and you'll be all right, and you don't add any kind of work to your faith, because faith without works is dead.
Is that
So
Mm-hmm.
I thank you both for pointing it out. And Shelly, please share more thoughts that you had. You know, I'm angry right now. I can feel it.
yeah. Because
Well, go ahead, Tracy.
well, I just wanted to say, Pastor Tia, because it does anger you because we're supposed to have the compassion that Jesus was moved with when we're dealing in these spaces. I'm talking about spiritual leaders because I am one, and it does make you angry. It makes you angry that a 15-year-old child is not believed. It makes you angry when a 5-year-old child is not believed, or that is more in, you know, not later on down the line. I'm supposed to tell my story, but when you say we need to fix the family member instead of saying put that person in jail for
Mm-hmm.
the assault that they've carried out towards you and taken your innocence or taken your perverted what God made the sanctity of sex in a marriage, perverted that because you come and you've taken something that you had no right of doing it, and instead of you're saying they were wrong and they need to be dealt with by the law because it's no longer just a sin, this is a criminal act
Yes.
towards
Mm-hmm.
someone. We're trying to dumb it down for lack of better terms and make it, or I've experienced in work violence is, oh, it's a communication issue, or you're holding a grudge.
Mm-hmm.
No, 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 no. When my physical body is reacting to this person being in the room and I'm spreading, sweating profusely, and I'm shaking and I'm trembling, and I'm going to the place where I'm almost passing out, it's no longer communication. I feel threatened. This
Yes.
environment no longer is safe. And why are you
Yeah.
telling me it is? Don't gaslight me. Sorry. So I feel the anger too, because when you experience that, you have I don't see how you cannot have compassion, because thinking of how hard it is to say someone did me wrong. Now you got
Hmm.
some people out here saying these things and it ain't true. But majority, if a person's character is not to create issues and they're coming to you, you need to believe them immediately, right?
Right.
Immediately. So when they're not believed, it makes you so angry. When we're trying to mask it to be something else that it's not, it makes you angry. Sorry.
Hmm.
So I feel the anger
Don't
too.
apologize. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not by myself.
No.
It's Shelly.
Well, and again, right? I talked earlier. Empathy.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
know, empathy is different than sympathy and
Yes.
understanding and compassion, and all of these attributes of the Savior are required to understand this. And the two things that I've seen, because I mentioned I do these book clubs. So I have people that ask me, um, what if I suspect that a friend or my sister or somebody I don't know, but I suspect that they're being abused.
Yeah.
And this is what I tell them 100% of the time. If you suspect that something is bad, it is horrific. It is horrific because we're talking about silence here. We don't speak up until it's horrific. And
Mhm.
so if anybody is speaking up, it's horrific. It's not the first time, it's not the second time, it's probably the thousandth time. And and if you want to just examine, everyone can be super critical about a one-off experience. Oh, he was drinking, or oh, she was PMS, or whatever the excuse is, because at the beginning it's like it's a death by a thousand paper cuts. I did a
Mhm.
podcast with uh on Chatter That Matters, and basically Tony Chapman, he was the first drummer for the Rolling Stones. Okay, and in our pre-meeting, we had this conversation, and he asked me about the domestic violence, because his podcast is about all kinds of different things, overcoming all kinds of things. It's not just about this. And so I said, look, domestic violence is like the frog in the boiling water.
Yeah.
When you first get in that relationship, the water is perfect temperature.
Mhm.
It's a perfect temperature. You want to keep getting in that water because it feels good. You're feeling like your needs are being met. And they probably are. But over time, the first incident happens, you dismiss it. The
Mhm.
second incident happens, you dismiss it. And it elevates until that water is boiling, and the frog is either jumping out and saving its life, or it's dying.
Mhm.
And he said to me at that point is, now I understand my mother,
Mhm.
because so many people don't understand. My parents were 1 month shy of their 25th wedding anniversary. This domestic violence started before I was born. My parents were married in 1960. I was born in 1970, and my sister and I got muted for a second. It wasn't about it wasn't about staying for the kids. And don't stay for the kids, because the kids can end up like me, staying for the kids, and an orphan. And so, uh, not only do people not know how to approach it, because there is this cycle, and so you might leave. I think, and you can probably correct me if I'm wrong. I think the cycle is at least 8 times, like 8 leavings is
Yeah,
the
it could be
cycle.
7 to 10 times. On
Mhm.
average, it could take one person 7 to 10 times of
Hmm.
trying to leave before they actually accomplish it.
Mm.
Yeah, and so people that aren't familiar um, with the whole dynamic don't understand. They don't have the experience, so they're looking at it as an outsider,
Yeah.
saying, "Well, why the heck are you going back? I don't understand. Why are you going back? Why? Why? Why?" Because they don't understand the dynamic.
Yeah.
Because it's not no person is evil and wicked all the time.
Right.
Even my father, who is a murderer and did all sorts of horrific things, I still love him.
Mm.
And I always did. And um and the things that he did after continue to hurt me.
Mm.
So it's not about, I mean, there's love involved with these relationships. They didn't start um with physical violence, and it starts with emotional violence,
Yes.
which robs you of your power to
Yeah.
begin with. And so again, if you don't understand that why someone's going back, understand that this is the cycle. It's not, they're not, nobody's superman or superwoman
Mhm.
that can be
Hmm.
one and done. And if they
Right.
are, great. But that's not the reality. There's millions and millions and millions of examples that
Mm.
it's not one and done.
Yeah.
And so people that are stepping in to help need to understand and not lose courage or not lose
Hmm.
faith that they are being effective in aiding them. It's about being able to support, pointing to the organizations that can support, because some people fall back into the abuse because they have nowhere else to go.
Yes.
And so again, that becomes shameful,
Yeah.
because now the next time it happens, people are thinking, and you know that this is happening. Well, she should have left last time, or he should have
Hmm.
left last time. You know, they're, why are they so dumb? Well, no, they're
Hmm.
not dumb. they're
Mm.
they're they're victims.
Right.
Yes. And they're trying to survive.
Yeah.
And Shelly, I mean, I love what you said about love, because I think that that is misunderstood with someone on the outside looking in. And I think love helps to make the Punisher's voice louder, because
Hmm.
in some cases it's, you know that I love you, and that's why you continue to do doing
Mm.
what you do, using my love against you. The parent that
Hmm.
knows that that child loves you, so no matter what it is that you're doing, you know that that child is going to come back. The wife that loves her husband, the husband that loves his wife, the siblings that love each other, that love is used against the victim,
Hmm.
or the survivor. And I want to say, just as you said, Shelley, um, it is very, very, very common. I think that the cases are more than not. The person who is abusing you is someone that you know, and it's someone that you love. And I
Yep.
want to say, nothing is wrong with you for loving this person that hurt you, even after
Mm-mm.
they hurt you. Nothing is wrong with you, because you have a relationship that was established, whatever that relationship is, if it's romantic, if it's a friendship, if it's whatever. There is nothing wrong with you because you love this person. And I'm very, very sorry of whatever it is that has happened. But that person took your love and made it something that was horrible, and
Hmm.
used your love to do something horrible and horrific. That is not anything to be ashamed of. So many of
Hmm.
us, I love this person. Some of us still love that
Yeah.
person, and
Yeah.
that is real, and that is okay. But you still deserve that space to be healed. You deserve love toward yourself.
Hmm.
Now,
Yes.
there was a time when I loved my ex-husband. I did love him, but that day came when, not anymore. It was different.
Hmm.
But in that moment, that was the only person that I knew my whole life. We were 18 years old when we came together. We were 20 years old
Hmm.
when we got married. And I think by the time I left him, we had been married for 19 years. At that time, I spent half my life with this person. We
Yep.
grew up together. There,
Mm-hmm.
so do not blame yourself for what somebody else does, and do not blame yourself because you love this person. They showed you a version of themselves
Mm-hmm.
that they wanted you to see, and you fell in love with that. And what you want is to get back to that version. And it's, I know within me, I kept holding on, in my heart and my mind, thinking, all right, he's going to get back to that person. He's going to
Yep.
what
Yep.
I remember. He's going to get back to what I know, and that wasn't the case. But it wasn't my fault. So I want to say, and Tracy, I'll go to you now for your next thoughts. But I want to say, nothing is wrong with you because you loved this person, or you currently still do love this person, but now love you.
Love
And
you.
Tracy,
Well, that's amazing that you say that, and I wanted to go like that. That is something that I've been teaching some of the young girls that I'm blessed to mentor is that you know the Bible teaches us that to the last commandment is to love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, mind, and spirit, and love your neighbor as yourself. But you have to do the latter before you can do the former, which is you have to love yourself. You have to learn what love is and what loving yourself is in order to love anybody else. And something that you said earlier, Shelley, that is very important, and I don't think that it's talked about enough. Normally, they're beating you up on the inside with their words, emotional and psychological abuse before it manifests to the outward. So by the time they're beating you up on the outside, you're so beaten up in the inside. You're in your thoughts and what you think toward yourself and how you feel toward yourself. And I don't think that's talked about enough. That that mental game that they play with you, those words that they use in just a way to cut you in such a way to where you feel ashamed, you feel like you need to go hide, you don't feel strong, you don't feel confident. It starts with the mind, and that's why the word
Mm-hmm.
teaches us that we have to renew our mind daily. We have to find things to replace those negative words that they present us with positive words, but realizing that normally that's where it starts is the emotional and psychological abuse, and then eventually, I mean, and it could be a combination of both, but it starts with those words of beating you down, taking
Mm-hmm.
your soul and your identity away from you because I know when I was in some abusive relationship, it was like, oh, you're not tall enough. Well, so what? I can't control that. you know, I have
yeah,
no control over how tall you want someone. So if you don't want to be with me, now I can say that. But then it was like, okay, then something's wrong with me, or you're too skinny. Not that's not a problem now. Not a problem then.
That's never been a problem for me.
It was a problem then. But you know what I mean? So it was, as you said that, it made me like re-examine some of those conversations and in realizing that it was really in the words that were spoken first that broke me in a way where eventually when it became a turning of the wrist or a shove or this and that, that it was like, I deserved it, kind of, sort of thing, because those words had beaten me down. So I didn't know who I was. I didn't love myself. So there's no way anyone else will, love me either. So it's important to realize that in order to heal and get back to a place of wholeness, you have to learn what love is and that unconditional love. Like you don't have to be a perfect size two. I don't know, too many of us after having kids that you shoot back to a two because so much stretching and pulling happens. So, you know,
I never saw a size two.
right. Or none of us ever seen that. Or, that you don't have to have like I had a problem with someone not making it about me, but like my teeth and you have gaps, I can't control how my family's DNA came out in me, like just those things. Like I don't have to have all these things to be perfect to be loved. I'm loved because I'm human. I'm loved because I'm his. I'm loved because I'm breathing, living, and I am a beautiful soul, And so getting back to that place is how we're going to heal and make the Punisher voice less less loud and silent, and making our voice louder in our head, saying, I love my gaps, I love my shortness, I love my curves, at this point in your life. So, not to take up too much of the time, but I think that that's
But
important,
no,
that
you're fine.
we don't realize that it's the words that start the
Mm-hmm.
damage long before the hits and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
physical abuse.
Well,
Shelley?
and the words leave the lasting scars.
Yes.
Mhm.
That broken bone and the black eye and the strangulation marks, and oh, by the way, anybody who's being strangled, that is warning sign 1,000. That is the highest risk. So
Mm,
please take that seriously. That was my dad's go-to.
wow.
If you're in that situation, please, please, please seek help. Do not believe the lies that have cut your legs off, preventing you from running. And they're lies. Anybody that's telling you that you have no value, or that there's nothing, there's nothing of worth that's physical. The worth is who you are as a daughter of God or a son of God, and who you are as a person. All of those things that get criticized, whether it be your weight or your laugh or your voice or any of that, is nonsense, and it's a lie. And you have to cast that off. And it's, I know it's a tall task, but that's how the Punisher has the louder voice, because it's their voice that you're hearing over the truth,
Yep.
and preventing you from speaking up because of the shame.
And I want to emphasize, and I think you both alluded to this point, that when someone comes to you, that is that is such a place of just respect. Like, you should know how privileged that scenario is if someone comes to you and shares their hurt and pain. And so you want to be extremely supportive. So if someone comes to you, you want to say, I believe you. And you
Yes.
know what? Sometimes you don't say anything. Sometimes you need to just listen, because they just need that support of your presence. But it should be expressed, I believe you. It's not your fault. And please, please do not ask inappropriate or accusatory questions, because that emphasizes and magnifies the voice of the abuser, the perpetrator, the punisher. When you start asking, why did you dress that way? Why do you look like that? Why did you say that? Or what did you do? You are emphasizing and magnifying what the punisher has already said and what the punisher has done. And that's not what support does. So if
Yes.
someone comes to you, I want to emphasize that that is a privilege, and that is an opportunity for you to help that victim begin to use their own voice, which is the start of walking in their healing process. So you can either help, or you can make the punisher's voice louder and
Mm,
cause more harm. So be very, very mindful of when someone comes to you, because that is an absolute privilege. And we're just under the hour, so I would like for you both, Shelley and Pastor Tracy, to leave us with your final thoughts of the evening. I thank you both so much for being here with us tonight. But Shelley, I want to ask you if you would go first and leave us with your final thoughts.
Sure. My final thoughts are, uh, just to circle back, is don't don't allow, this is for victims, don't allow the shame to silence you,
Mhm.
because there is no shame. You have no shame. And for those, like what Tia just said, is that when, if someone is coming to you, they're they're scared, they're desperate, they need help. And um you know, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Mhm.
But let's take that to like a slightly higher level and say, do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Meaning, give them the support that they need, not the support that you would need in that situation. So you have to listen, and because they might just need you to hear them, and they might not be ready to take a step of action other than to be heard and supported and loved. And so ask them, how can I help you? I can, here's maybe some things that I could help you with. Um, but don't say you should do this, you should do that. They already know they need to leave if they're coming to you, but they might not be ready yet.
Yeah.
Or they might not even, they might be so overwhelmed they can't see it being even possible. So just listen first. And people that are being victimized, speak. Find people that will love and support you, because we are here. There's three of us right here. And
Absolutely.
so I don't want to take up too much time, but you are seen, you are loved, and
Yes.
you are worth it. Believe that you're worth it, and cast off the lies.
Thank you so much. And Pastor Tracy, if you would leave us with your final words for this evening.
Sure. Just real quick, I would say to those that are being victimized by the voice of the Punisher, is not your fault. And I want to iterate that over and over again. It's not your fault. There's nothing wrong with you. Um, and if you can't speak it out loud, write it out. Get out what is happening to you in some form, some type of way. If you write it out and you slip it a note or someone, find a safe space, find a safe place and space to get it out. If some of us are introverts and you that are suffering in silence, and it's hard for you to kind of assert yourself, write it out. Find someone and write it out and just get it out. And then lastly, to the point that Pastor Tia made, and reiterating what Shelly has said, if you are that safe place for someone and they share with you what's going on, believe them, and don't turn their pain into gain by sharing it with anyone else.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, Pastor Tracy, I just wrote down a topic we're going to cover. Write it out. That was really good. So,
Okay. All right.
thank you
I'm
so
glad I
much.
can help.
Pastor Tracy, if anyone wants to join your church service again, can you tell us again how anyone can join?
Yes, we broadcast the second and fourth Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, and you can reach us at Anchor Rock Ministries, and that's ANCHORDE Rock ORCK Ministries.
Thank you so much. And Love Bay, we know Shelly Edwards Jorgensen, author of Beautiful Ashes. Her book is available where books are available. So look for it online. Thank you both so much. I appreciate you being
Thank
here.
you.
Love Bay, if you want to
Thanks.
catch up on previous episodes of our program, you can visit our YouTube channel, Suffering in Silence DV. Please also remember to like, share, and subscribe via whichever platform you're watching us by. Thank you again for joining Suffering in Silence with Pastor Tia here on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. Love Bay, we're continuing to rise out of the ashes together. Good evening.